So I felt while reading Matthew chapter 26 to read it because I felt like I could explain it. So I felt and heard to read it and explain it while reading. Context is in chapter 25, Jesus talking to the priests, scribes, elders, maybe just the priests, but definitely his disciples too, saying, "For I was hungry and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. Naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me." And shall the righteous answer him, saying, "Lord, when saw we you and hungered and fed you, or thirsty and gave you drink? When saw we you? When did we see you a stranger and took you in, or naked and clothed you? Or when saw you sick or in prison and came to you?" The king shall answer them, "Truly I say to you, inasmuch as you have done it to one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it to me." That's the context of it. A little bit of context of it. Not the whole chapter of context, but like the ending, more part of it. Now in chapter 20, because he's speaking in parables, short stories, to the priests, the disciples, and the elders and scribes. Now in chapter 26 is what we're reading. And going to be explaining while we read, because I know I need that, so other people probably need that too. Not many probably, but some at least. And it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, he said to his disciples, You know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. So in 2 days, the feast of the Passover, and on that day, the feast of the Passover, the Son of Man, Jesus, is going to be betrayed and crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders of the high people to the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas. I don't know how to say. I don't know that word. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but like Caiaphas. So chief priests, scribes, elders of the people, they all gathered together into a palace, which was named Caiaphas. And they consulted and talked together that they may take Jesus by subtlety and kill him. So I had to search up with that word subtlety and make sure I knew what it fully meant. So deceptive or cunning approach. So they consulted, they talked together that they may take Jesus by a deceptive way and kill him. But they said, not on the feast day, unless there be an uproar among the people, unless there's like loud noise among the people, we won't take him and kill him. Now, when Jesus was in Bethany in the house of Simon, the leper is a person who has leprosy, which is a disease, terrible disease, affects the skin, it gives infections, and it's terrible, painful. So when Jesus was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came to him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at the table to eat. A woman came up to him with an alabaster box. What alabaster box represent? It was holding ointment, very precious, high, valuable ointment, like expensive ointment, basically. That's very nice, very good. So what that alabaster box represents is actually wrote down. It represents precious and valuable offering to Jesus. So she gave up a very precious and valuable thing and offered it to Jesus by pouring the ointment on his head while he was sat down to eat, which is preparing him. Actually, we'll find out in the next. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation. They had righteous anger. So when the disciples saw it, because they're saying the same table as him, when the disciples saw it, they had righteous anger, saying, "To what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor." So you could have sold it for a lot of money, gave it to the poor to help out. Why waste it by pouring on Jesus' head? They didn't understand. They didn't know. But when Jesus understood what they're saying, he said to them, "Why trouble you the woman? For she has wrought a good work upon me." She's done a good work on Jesus by pouring the ointment on his head. For you have the poor always with you, but me you have not always. So the poor will always be there. New generation of poor people will always be there, be needing help. But Jesus, his time is coming, will not always be there. He's dying soon, actually, in this in like the context of the book. He's dying soon. He's dying soon. I mean, he still hasn't come back today yet. So like you wouldn't have if we don't have Jesus on earth in the flesh always. But you always have poor people. Like there's still poor people today as there was 2,000 years ago back then, or even further back then, 3,000 years ago, whatever. For in that she has poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial, is what he said. So he's saying she's preparing him for his burial because he's dying soon. Truthfully, I say to you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman has done be told a memorial of her. So wherever the gospel is preached in the entire world, this what she has done shall also be said, shall also be told, preached for a memorial of her, to remember her and what she's done, the good work that she did on Jesus' head, offering him a very precious and valuable offering. That, like the disciples said, could have sold and helped out a bunch of poor people, but Jesus, not there for a long time, she offered it to God. And one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said to them, what will you give me, and I will deliver him to you? And the chief priests and him, they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver. So they agreed on a price, 30 pieces of silver. All it takes for you is 30 pieces of silver is what we will pay you to betray him. A very low amount is what they were saying Jesus is worth. And Judas just did it for that little of amount of 30 pieces of silver. And from that time, he saw opportunity to betray him. So Judas was from that time on, from agreement with them, and so on, he was searching for an opportunity to betray Jesus. Now, the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying to him, where will you that we prepare for you to eat the Passover? So the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, pure holy bread, the disciples went to Jesus saying basically, where will we go to prepare the feast? Where will we get supplies to prepare the feast? Where will we have the feast? And Jesus said, go into the city to such a man and say to him, the master says, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at my house with my disciples. So go to a man in the city and tell him, the master, not my master, the master says, my time is at hand. So Jesus is, like we know already, coming to an end. Like his fleshly life is coming to an end. He's going to die very soon. Jesus saying, I will keep the Passover at my house, at Jesus' house, with my disciples, with his disciples. Go tell the man in the city. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, as set them, had told them, commanded them. So the disciples did what Jesus told them to do. And they made ready the Passover. And they made ready the Passover by doing what Jesus told them to do, of how to make ready for it and where to. Now when the evening was come, he sat down with the 12. So the 12 disciples of Jesus sat down. And as they did eat, he said, truthfully, like Jesus said, truly I say to you, verily, which means truthfully. So verily I say to you, truthfully I say to you, that one of you shall betray me. So truthfully I say to you, one of you shall betray me. Like we know Judas, and Judas knows he's going to betray him. He's going to betray Jesus. He said, truthfully I say to you, one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say to him, Lord, is it I? So they were all like very much like distressed and sad that one of them is going to betray Jesus. And they were all asking, like, is it me? Is it me? Is it me, Jesus? Is it me? And he answered and said, like they didn't know. But the person doesn't knows, which Jesus says in a couple of verses. And he answered and said, he that dips his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. So this person who eats out of the same dish as me shall betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him. But guilty to the Son of Man goes as it is written of him. So the Son of Man, Jesus, does what is written of him to do. He fulfilled all the prophecies. He did everything he's supposed to do as the Lord Father commanded him. But woe means guilty, but guilty to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. So guilty to whoever the Son of Man is betrayed by. So Judas, Son of Man is Jesus. So guilty to the man by whom guilty to the man of who Jesus is betrayed by. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. So it would have been better for Judas, basically what Jesus is saying, to not have been born compared to betraying him. So the betrayal was so big, so big, and like that big, that it would have been better if Judas was never born, Jesus is saying. But he's not saying Judas' name, he's just saying whoever is betraying the Son of Man. Because he's not outright telling the disciples Judas is going to betray him. Because the disciples might have just like beat up Judas or something. Like they have, like, no one's perfect. Like someone says they're going to be, like, who's going to betray the Son of Man. Jesus, you're really just going to like sit there and let it happen. Like, it's going to be hard to do that. So he found it better to not just say the name outrightly. And Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said to him, You have said. I don't, to be honest, I'm not fully sure about what Jesus means by you has said. You has said. Or as a response by, is it I? You has said. I think it might mean Jesus saying, like you has said it is you. Like we both know it's you. Why are you asking even? It's like we both know it's you. You has said it is you. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink you all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins, for the price of many sins, of all the sins in the world. He's saying, Eat the bread, is my body. Drink the blood, drink what's in the cup, blood, which is, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the price of sins, which is shed for the price of sins. We either accept it or we don't. Many on earth now don't accept it. So it says many for the price of sins, many sins, because we don't accept it. Some people don't accept it, but the price was still paid for them. I hope that makes sense. But I say to you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So Jesus is saying, I will not drink the fruit of the blood which pays for the sins this day with y'all. But I will, when everyone's up in heaven, in the Father's kingdom, in heaven, I'll drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom in heaven. Because heaven is going to be, it says in the Bible, I believe, that it says it's going to be like a wedding banquet, like a big feast. We're just going to drink it new with all of us, the fruit of the blood that paid for the sins of the earth, which we are accepting. And we're going to heaven. We're going to have it with Jesus then, and he will drink it then. That'll be the first time he's drinking of the fruit of it. But the disciples are drinking it then with him. And when they had sung in hymn, and hymn is a worshiping, praising song. So when they sung and worshiping, praising song, they went out into the mountain of Olives. Then says Jesus to them, all you shall be offended because of me this night. Offended means like tripping into sin. So Jesus says to them, all you shall be tripping into sin because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, I will kill the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad instead of together. In their home, they'll be scattered abroad because the shepherd is killed. So the shepherd is killed? So who's supposed to be keeping the sheep together? Who is watching over the sheep, keeping them together? No one, because the shepherd is dead. So the flock is scattered abroad. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee. So after Jesus rises again, he's saying he'll go before them into Galilee. Peter answered and said to him, though all men shall be offended because of you, yet I will never be offended. So Peter responded back and said, even though all men shall be tripped up into sin because of you, yet I will never be tripped into sin. If you know what happens where, spoiler alert, Peter ends up betraying, not betraying, but when Jesus dies, 3 times he denies Jesus. He denies knowing him. He denies being a disciple of him. He denies having a relationship with him. Three times. Then Jesus meets him again. He repents, and they have a moment like together, embracing, where he embraces Jesus and goes back to him instead of denying him again. But he's saying, I will never be offended. I will never trip into sin. He's like, Jesus, there's no way I would do that. I would never do that. Of course, many of us probably would say the same thing. Like many people on earth now that are following Jesus would probably have said the exact same thing. Jesus said to him, truthfully I say to you that this night before the chicken crows, before the rooster crows, it says before the cock crows, you shall deny me thrice. So truthfully I say to you this night before the cock crow, you shall deny me 3 times, thrice. Peter says to him, though I should die with you, so even though I should die with you, yet I will not deny you. So Jesus is telling him what literally will happen. And Peter is saying, no. Even though I will die with you, I will not deny you. Likewise, also said all the disciples saying, no, Jesus, no, you're wrong. We won't deny you. Jesus is saying, bruh, I know what's going to happen. You're going to deny me, Peter, 3 times before Jesus rises up again. Then comes Jesus with them to a place called Gethsemane. So then comes Jesus with them. So disciples of Jesus go to a place called Gethsemane and says to the disciples, sit you here while I go and pray yonder, far off over there. By the way, this part of it is my first time reading this part of Matthew chapter 26. From 33 and so on, 34, 33, verse so on of Matthew chapter 26. This is my first time reading this as well. So I'll let the Holy Spirit guide me and help me. So Jesus, the disciple, is going to Gethsemane, and he says to them, sit here, sit down here. I'm going to go over there, over yonder, and pray. And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. So what he was saying was very heavy, very like a very deep, hard conversation to have. It's basically what he was having with them. Then he says to them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even to death. Tarry you here and watch with me. Stay you here and watch with me. And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed. So Jesus fell on his face and prayed after going a little further. And he's saying, "Oh my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." So like the cup is full of Jesus, is full of the blood that pays for the sins. Jesus' blood paid for the sins. So he's saying, "Father, if you will, please take the cup from me, put it to someone else. I don't want to do this. Like, I'm sorry." Like, Jesus is extremely sad, like he's not wanting to do it, but he's also saying, even though he knows he does not want to do it, because deep down he knows he needs to do it. He's saying, he said, "Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." So as God the Father's will be done, like it is in heaven on earth. Definitely butcher that. From in heaven as on earth is what God's will happen. Is what he's saying. He's saying, "Your will, God the Father, not mine." Because my will is, I don't want to be crucified. I don't want to be tortured. I don't want to be stabbed. I don't want to be lashed. I don't want to carry this big 200-pound cross while my back's broken open. Like, I don't want to do that. He doesn't want to die. Of course, all of us would be saying the same thing. Like, "God, please have someone else do this. I don't want to do this. This is a big burden. I have a very big weight to carry." And where are we? And he comes to the disciples and finds them asleep. So he went to the disciples and finds them asleep, and says to Peter, "What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour?" This is like a very like human type of thing to say. Like, what? You couldn't watch with me 1 hour? Like, and it's true. Like, for 1 hour, you couldn't watch Jesus pray, bro. Well, you know he's dying soon too. You couldn't watch him pray for 1 hour, but you fell asleep. Watch, and he says right after that, "Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." So Jesus is saying, watch and pray. Pay close attention so that you do not enter into temptation. The spirit is willing. The spirit is willing. The spirit does not want to fall into temptation. The spirit is willing to not fall into temptation, but the flesh is weak. The flesh is very easily tripped into temptation, tripped into sin. It is offended, tripped into sin very easily. It is tempted very easily. There's temptations now for everyone on earth, like every single day, tons of them. Very easy to have the temptation and see the temptation, to trip into the temptation. So he's saying, pray and pay close attention, watch, so that doesn't happen. He went away again the second time and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, your will be done." So, "O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me," this cup does not go from me to someone else, "except I drink it, your will be done. Your will be done." So I drink of the cup. So he's saying, if the cup does not go from me, and but I drink it, your will be done. So what you want to happen, God the Father, will be done. If Jesus drinks of the cup, drinks of the blood of that pays for the sins of earth, for all of us in humanity of all time, future, past, present. And he came and found them asleep again. He went back and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. They fell asleep twice while he was praying. He told them after the first time they fell asleep, watch, pay close attention to Jesus praying so you don't fall into temptation, because the spirit is willing to not, but the flesh is weak, so it can. And he left and went away again and prayed the third time, saying the same words, "O my Father, if this cup may not pass from me, except I drink it, your will be done." Then he goes back to his disciples. Then he comes he to his disciples and says to them, he goes to his disciples and says to them again, after praying a third time, sleep on now and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. So he's now saying, sleep now. He's saying, you watched, now sleep. Take your rest. Behold, look, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hand of sinners now. Judas did the betraying. Judas is doing the betraying, or did the betraying, is what he's saying. But he's not saying the name Judas. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that does betray me. So he's doing it. So let us go. Who's doing the betrayal is doing it. So we need to go and basically allow it to happen. So Jesus can pay the price for all of our sins with his blood. And while he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude. So a lot of people came, a lot of people came with him with swords and with staves, spears, with swords and staves, from the chief priests and elders of the people. So while he's speaking, Judas, one of the 12 disciples, came with a lot of people with swords and staves from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign. So he showed a sign, gave them a sign, saying, whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he, hold him fast. So whoever Jesus kisses, like on the cheek, on the forehead, that is who betrays Jesus. And it's Judas. Hold him fast. So hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Jesus and said, Hail, Master. And forthwith he came to Jesus, Judas, came to Jesus and said, oh, it's, my bad, I mixed that up. Over Judas kisses, which is Jesus. Judas is kissing Jesus. Judas is betraying Jesus. Now, and forthwith he came to Jesus and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him, like on the cheek. And Jesus said to him, Friend, wherefore are you come? So, like, where are you come? Like, then came they and laid hands on Jesus and took him. So I think he's saying, like, where did you come from? Where did you come? Then came they and laid hands on Jesus and took him. They took Jesus. And behold, one of them which were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. So one of the disciples that was with Jesus took out his sword, drew his sword. One of the sons of Zebedee drew out his sword, chopped off an ear, hit an ear, chopped off an ear of one of the high priest's servants. Then said Jesus to him, Put up again your sword to his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. So, what he's saying, put up again your sword to his place. So put the sword again to the place where you smote. So put your sword up again to his ear. For all that take the sword shall perish with the sword. So Jesus allowed the ear to be cut off. And it just stayed off. And whoever takes the sword shall perish with the sword, shall die with the sword. Oh, my bad. So he's saying, put the sword back in its covering in its place, not into the ear. That makes no sense. So he's saying, my bad. Put the sword back into the place, into the cover, the sheath where you found it. It was like probably on its hip. So put the sword back into its place. Thinkest you that I cannot now pray to my Father? Thinkest you that I cannot now pray to my Father,